What's the funniest thing you've seen someone do that you weren't allowed to laugh at? I was giving a hitting lesson to a 9-year-old kid before the pandemic. After the lesson his dad mentioned that when you get older you can get whatever name or nickname printed on your wood bat. The kid asked if he could get cocksucker printed on his bat. I had to put my glove over my mouth so he won't see me laughing. LMAO what? He definitely has a mouth on him. His brother got hit with a pitch at practice and he yelled alright pussy my turn. I was in a cadaver lab for an anatomy class and that week we were learning hip and upper leg muscles. My group were at the table and one of the guys proceeded to roll the cadaver leg over. From looking at the hamstring to study the quads, we didn't realize that the leg belonged to a male until its dick slapped him straight on the back of his hand. Entire group was breathing super hard trying not to laugh and appear disrespectful in the eyes of the tutors. But I honestly reckon the guy would have been laughing with us. If I could donate my body to be used for that exact scenario, I'd sign up right now. Especially if it meant you could watch it happen as a ghost. You could use your ghost powers to keep swinging it back onto his hand whenever he moves it. I'd come join you. We could have a right laugh. You're not allowed to laugh at a funeral, right? Well, we all did. So I guess this counts. At my grandmother's funeral, when the priest asked us all for a moment of silence to remember my grandmother, my 5-year-old brother, amidst all the silence and hushed crying and tears, saw the priest lighting candles and started singing at the top of his lungs. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Apostrophe. He turned one of the saddest moments of my life into the funniest thing I've ever seen. Kid knew you can't spell funeral without fun. A guy was acting as his own attorney. He was questioning himself in court by standing up, asking a question, then sitting down to answer it. The judge finally looked at him and said, "Sit down, Mr. X." I almost lost it, but managed to hold my court demeanor. I can't help but imagine this with him putting on a funny voice when he was the lawyer to differentiate characters. It's what any good actor would do. Our teacher was scolding the CL but in his rage-induced lecture he accidentally knocked over a stack of graded papers onto the floor, ruining the perfect by name order he had them in. That's not what was funny. What was funny was he immediately said out loud, "Oh shucks," since he wouldn't swear. This came out of a man whose face was red as a lobster. I almost choked trying not to laugh. Paramedic here. Watched a drunk falling down a bunch of stairs. He had several broken bones and looked like a brazil. He then just screamed at his friend to get him a new beer because he dropped his. Nearly pissed myself. Sir, can you move your arm? Why are you sticking it out like that? Apostrophe. I'm waiting for a drink to appear in my hand. Fuckhead. Apostrophe. You have no idea how accurate that is. At my friend's grandfather's funeral, the first sentence of the pastor's speech was, "We are all here because we love Dick so much." His name was Richard. This holy man gave a 15-minute speech about his love of Dick and how Dick changed his life. My wife and I did not make eye contact through the entire thing for fear of busting out laughing in a quiet, crowded church. It took me about a year to ask my friend his thoughts about it, and apparently he was close to losing it too. A friend of mine who was always late to work died after an epileptic fit. The undertakers and vicar got delayed and he was late to his own funeral, and it was the most fitting and hilarious moment and he'd have loved it. But obviously you can't burst out laughing when the staff at a funeral tell you that he's not there yet. Edit. Also, he only worked some days, so we called him part-time Pete, and in the long run he really was only here part-time. He always did like knocking off early. Somewhat similar. My cousin was always late for things when he was little because his mom would take just forever to do anything related to getting ready. Not that she had a lot to do, but was just a massive procrastinator. He got in the habit of jokingly telling people that she would even be late to his funeral when he had passed away. His mom circled around the place until service had started before coming in, though that of course was done on purpose this time. We told my sister that our father's funeral was going to be at 10 AM, and as a result, she was almost 15 minutes early for the 12:30 service. Some people are chronically allergic to punctuality. Chronically. So one time, Me and my CL, but we're watching a play where all the actors were both blind and deaf. At one point, they were walking on the stage with no one to guide them, and one of them fell off the stage. Edit, him going to hell and him taking you all with me. That's some Eric Andre shit. When my aunt died I was heartbroken. I loved her very very much. She was in a coma, and we had a sort of living wake for her. At her funeral though, I don't know, I must have been all cried out or something. True to her style though, she played the goddamn Collingwood theme song as the coffin left, and I lost my shit. I pretended to sob down the back of the church, but I was pissing myself laughing. This is something I wanna do at my funeral. I wanna play Rick Astley or something. I have informed my family that if Green Day's Ha Ha You're Dead is not played at my funeral I will haunt the shit out of those responsible. My mother-in-law was basically awful to me early in our relationship. Called me names. Made comments about my family. Made comments about my upbringing in a trailer home. Really cool. I remember always trying to be the better person. Anyway, there was a big gathering of my wife's family. My mill was holding court and made a few shots at me at the dinner. She left to get something out of the kitchen at some point. On her return, someone had closed the screen door and she walked right into it, mid-stride, mid-sentence. She made a hilarious noise. I almost guffawed, but my wife clenched my knee. I laughed on the inside and pictured it whenever I needed a pick-me-up from her narcissistic victimhood. We are estranged from her now. Big shock. Edit. Thank you all for the support. It's been a rough journey sometimes. In bulk I want to say that if you have someone with narcissistic personality disorder in your life, you don't have to put up with their abuse, even if they are family. Edit 2. Those of you saying my wife was in the wrong somehow should really research different effects of abuse. She has stood up for me more than enough and worked hard to be a good partner. The rest is meaningless to me. Should have laughed as loud as possible. Right? Would have been worth the fingernails under the kneecap. I was watching Hunger Games in theaters and the rude death scene caused a reaction from the person behind me that left me laughing so hard I thought the people who didn't hear her would think I was a horrible person. Right when the spear hits her I heard the so damn from behind me like the most stereotypical dumb reaction gif sound effect of a dude getting kicked in the nads. It clashed with the scene so much and was the only time the person ever spoke. It just cracked me up. Something similar happened when I went to see Hamilton. When he, spoiler, gets shot by Burr and dies, this girl in front of me audibly gasped and said oh no. I had no idea the ending was a mystery to people, so I was chortling while Alexander was dying. I don't know how it can be a mystery with the line from the opening song where Burr says I'm the damn fool that shot him. It's not kept a secret. A teacher in middle school tore me apart for being in a Harleen who CL, but of course I was being an asshole. E. As he finished. D. He kicked his legs back to look smug. G. Etc. C. And flipped his chair over. R. He shot up so quickly with such a red face that I thought if I made a peep he would probably kill me. E. I was dying on the inside. E. I was getting a passport photo taken at a Walgreens. Nice. Old man grabs the camera and has me stand in front of the white backdrop and says earnestly no smiling. The passport people hate their lives so no one can look happy. Because that totally helped me keep a straight face lol. My first time in Houston. A very large lady was going up a full escalator. Near the top, she suddenly fell into a low sitting position, as if her legs gave in. She didn't fall down the steps or anything. She was just stationary, no longer moving up with the escalator. Her size prevented anyone from passing around her, so everyone behind her began to walk backwards to not crash into her. Some picking up their luggage. Did she get wedged in or something? How was she not moving up with the escalator? I'm picturing like a cartoonish falling up scenario where she was only falling fast enough for the escalator to keep her stationary. The CD started skipping at my stepmom's funeral. Everyone thought it was a sign from her, but it turned out it was just a shitty CD. It was a sign to put a better CD on or to change the song. Change it to I Walk with a Zombie for best effect. I've watched some children run into GL but doors, but I couldn't laugh, I had to be nice. Sometimes I wonder if all the other people are holding back laughter, but just staying quiet to make the parents feel better. As a parent, I hold it back long enough to see that they're okay, not bloody, broken, etc. Then start laughing. It seems to make them laugh off small pains. They see that other people are laughing, and they're less likely to cry for attention. R.C. Elbert Salutatorian started her speech with, "Today we are here for our graduated cylinders, I mean our graduation," and when he, and at the time, that she chuckled at her own joke, which definitely was a joke. I, a lone patron of comedy in a convention center of thousands, who was already on thin ice, let out a very audible laugh, and woo, and the monitor, which was based on sound, cut to me as I laughed, and caught the woo. I genuinely found it funny, and could not stop laughing until well after the ceremony finished. I'm genuinely laughing replaying this scenario in my head. I was once at a food and drink event that was put on by a very famous and eccentric German chef. When it was over, he invited my friend and I back to his farm for an after party. His farm famously hosts chefs from all over the world who live with him and learn from him. So as a young chef, this was a huge honor. My friend and I had had quite a few cocktails, and when it was time for the famous chef to give us directions, he started drawing a map with all kinds of windy dirt roads. He kept saying, "And this road is windy, 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 windy," in his thick German accent, while scribbling all over the page. And it just kept going, to the point that my friend and I were visibly holding back tears of laughter. We ended up having an amazing time at the farm, but I'm 100% positive the chef did not like us at all after we laughed in his face while he tried to give us directions. My stepdad was an Italian from Manhattan. He had the classic Italian mobster accent. We all live in Minnesota, born and raised, so his accent was definitely different from what we're used to. My brother loved to playfully make fun of him by imitating him by saying classic Italian mobster exclamations along with the hand mannerisms. Stepdad was a laid-back guy and found it funny, and the banter between those two was very light-hearted. So, one day, we were having a small get-together at our house with my mom, stepdad, my brother and a few friends. We were all hanging out outside when my 4-year-old daughter, excited, started saying, Uncle Paulie, watch this, apostrophe. As everyone watched, she went over to a piece of dog poop, pointed at it by shaking her open palmed hands, and exclaimed in the most perfect Italian mobster accent, "What the duck is the eyes?" Exclamation mark. She even did the head bob perfectly. We all stifled laughter. I love this one. She sounds like a card, lol. OC definitely is. She is 16 now, and is definitely the funniest person I know. We were 16 and a friend's birthday party. 4 in the morning, the 8 of us decide to go to the nearby elementary school to run around the roof. 2 of the boys tipped over a porta potty. On the walk home, the cops roll up and make us return to the school to make sure we didn't do any more damage. As we were walking into the front gate, one of the officers had climbed over a fence to look around. As he was climbing back over, his nightstick got caught in the fence and he fell on his butt next to all of us. I'm surprised no one but threw their lip trying not to laugh. As an added bonus, my friend's mom was so pissed at us when she picked us up from the school that she wasn't paying attention and backed up into one of the cop cars. Not me, but a teacher I had in high school. Very serious man. He wasn't mean, but kept things orderly. I don't even recall what they said, but one of the students told a very dirty joke in the class. The teacher calmly stands up from his desk, walks out the classroom door, shuts it, and we hear him just barely laughing the hallway. He collects himself, walks back in, sits back down, and continues CL but like nothing happened. I went to a Holy Rollers church with my friend in middle school. I had no idea her church would be like this. She had an emotional breakdown at the end of M-But and we went to the bathrooms so she could cry. Then we started walking back into the worship center where her mom, big woman, was, and some other people were still praying. I hear someone shouting, which wasn't hard to find at this church. As we get closer to the front, and it's her mom, speaking in tongues. It FR sounded like a Harry Potter spell chanted over and over again. Her hands were flailing in there and she eventually fell over to her right side and crushed a skinny guy next to her. I had to stifle my laughter so bad I almost peed. Later I told my friend that I was sorry her mom fell over in church and she said she didn't fall. She was pushed. I was confused. BC I know I saw her fall. She looked me dead in the face and said she was pushed by the Holy Spirit. I threw my head back laughing and me and her weren't very good friends after that. I grew up going to churches like that. It's hilarious from an outsider view, but it's so serious to members. I always struggle with how demoralizing that must be if you really believe but are performing to fit in because the crazy shit never seems to happen to you. Like, I imagine there's so much insecurity from feeling like a fraud but needing to fit in. But really everyone is in the same isolated box, so it just gets pushed further and further so nobody catches on. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.